Good morning. Good morning. May I ask everybody to sit now? Distinguished delegates, I wish to welcome all of you to the first plenary meeting of the 69th regular session of the General Conference. Under Rule 48 of the Rules of Procedure, I now invite the conference to observe a minute of silence dedicated to prayer and meditation. Thank you. This year, again, we have the participation of many ministers and senior officials from member states. I welcome them all to this regular session of the General Conference. I would like to note that this high-level participation enhances the standing of the IAEA as the foremost forum for international cooperation in the peaceful and safe use of nuclear energy. Excellencies, Director General Grossi, distinguished delegates, friends and colleagues. At the outset, I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to all member states for the confidence, trust, and cooperation you extended to me as the President of the 68th General Conference. It has been an immense honor to serve in this role on behalf of the Far East Group and the entire membership of this agency. I thank the Vice Presidents, the Chair of the Committee of the Whole, and especially the Director General and the Secretariat, whose tireless professionalism has enabled the agency to deliver on its mandate. When I assumed the presidency last year, I expressed concern at signs of strain in the Vienna spirit, while stressing that consensus was the only viable path forward. Standing before you today, I remain convinced that this conviction holds true. The challenges we face as an international community are many, but consensus, cooperation, and compromise are the foundation of the IAEA's enduring success. The past year has highlighted the indispensable role of the IAEA, guided by its motto of atoms for peace and development. The agency has supported member states in addressing some of the most pressing global challenges. Flagship initiatives such as Rays of Hope, Zodiac, New Tech Plastic, and Atoms for Food have delivered tangible results. From strengthening cancer care and combating zoonotic diseases to addressing plastic pollution and enhancing food security. The Ministerial Conference on Nuclear Science, Technology and Applications and the Technical Cooperation Program in November 2024 reaffirmed the central role of nuclear science and the TC program in tackling these challenges. At the same time, the agency has continued to uphold its core responsibilities in safeguards, nuclear safety, and nuclear security. In 2024 alone, the agency carried out more than 3,000 verification activities at over 1,300 facilities worldwide, drawing safeguards conclusions for 175 states. Its role in strengthening nuclear safety and security also remains crucial, particularly in Ukraine, where its continued presence at nuclear facilities helps prevent a nuclear accident amidst the ongoing conflict. Looking ahead, the agency's engagement with emerging technologies is equally important. We welcome the International Symposium on Artificial Intelligence and Nuclear Energy this December, which will explore how artificial intelligence can contribute to the safe and efficient use of nuclear power. In addition, the growing interest in small modular reactors demonstrates both the promise and responsibility of nuclear innovation. Here, too, the IAEA has a vital role in ensuring that SMR development is accompanied by robust standards of safety, security, and safeguards. Excellencies, I am mindful of many difficult issues on our agenda. In an era of heightened geopolitical instability and sharp divisions, our deliberations will not be easy. Yet, I remain an optimist. I trust in our collective wisdom to overcome obstacles and find solutions together. I firmly believe that if we continue to uphold flexibility, mutual understanding, and a strong sense of community, we can preserve the Vienna spirit that has long enabled consensus at this conference. Only then can it provide the agency with a clear and unified direction it needs to continue delivering on its vital mission. On a lighter note, I recall that last year, when our discussions went past midnight, I had to stop the clock so that we could continue our work until 3 o'clock in the morning. This year, I sincerely hope my successor will be spared such efforts and that we can all return home before the clock strikes midnight on Friday. Excellencies, friends and colleagues, it has been my profound privilege to serve as President of the 68th General Conference. I extend my warmest wishes to the incoming President and have every confidence that, with your full support, he will guide this conference to a successful conclusion. Thank you very much. May we now pass on to our first item of business, the election of officers and the appointment of the General Committee. I now invite a nomination for the office of the President of the General Conference during its 69th regular session. As all of you know, it is the turn of the Eastern Europe Group to provide this year's President. I now give the floor to the distinguished resident representative of Latvia in his capacity as chair of the Eastern Europe Group. You may address us from your seat.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my pleasure to take the floor on behalf of the Eastern European Group of countries. Acting in my capacity as the chair of this group, I would like to inform you that we have decided to nominate His Excellency Mr. Peter Burian, Ambassador and Resident Representative of Slovakia, for the position of the President of the General Conference of the IAEA in its 69th session. I am confident in Ambassador Burian's experience and skills for this esteemed position. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished resident representative of Latvia for the nomination on behalf of the Eastern Europe Group. There being no other nominations, I propose that His Excellency Mr. Peter Brian, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Slovak Republic, be elected by acclamation President of the General Conference during its 69th regular session. It is so decided. His Excellency Mr. Peter Brian, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Slovak Republic, is thus elected President of the Conference by acclamation. On behalf of all delegates and on my own behalf, I would like to offer him our warm congratulations and also our good wishes for a successful conference. I now invite him to take the chair and in doing so, appeal to delegates in the interest of saving time and in accordance with a decision taken by the conference several years ago and successfully implemented since then to reserve their congratulatory statements to him until they make their general debate statements.
Well done. Good job. Well done. Well done. Good job.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. When we gather in this hall each year, we are reminded of a simple but powerful truth, that even in uncertain times, nations choose to come together, to listen, and to work side by side. It's a privilege for me to stand before you today, entrusted with the responsibility of guiding our deliberations. I thank you sincerely for the trust. Let me also recognize my predecessor, His Excellency Ambassador Ham Sang-uk, for his leadership of last year's conference. I further express appreciation to Director General Grossi and the Secretariat. Their steady work ensures that the agency continues to serve all of us with great professionalism and impartiality. The achievements of the IAEA are possible only through the commitment of its staff, who carry out their duties often in challenging circumstances. The IAEA's founding vision, Atoms for Peace and Development, remains clear. But the challenges we face today are more complex than at any time since 1957. Armed conflicts have placed nuclear facilities at risk. Confidence in the non-proliferation regime is being tested. At the same time, humanity faces twin pressures of climate change and energy insecurity. These realities remind us that the work of the agency is not abstract. It is directly connected to the safety and prosperity of people worldwide. The agency's response demonstrates its unique role, we all agree. Through safeguards and verification, it helps maintain international trust. By supporting nuclear safety and security, it reduces risk even in fragile situations. and by advancing nuclear applications from medical treatment to food security and environmental protection, it delivers solutions that are practical and life-changing. This ability to serve as both a guardian of security and a partner in development makes the agency indispensable. Excellencies, allow me to share the experience of my own country, the Slovak Republic. Slovakia is a proud example of how the peaceful use of nuclear energy can contribute to stability, growth, and sustainability. Today, nuclear power generates more than half of our electricity, among the highest shares in the European Union, helping us ensure energy security, reduce emissions, and meet climate commitments. Our journey has not been without challenges, but it shows that with strong commitment to safety, transparency, and cooperation with the agency, use of nuclear energy can become a true success story. Looking ahead, nuclear energy will remain an essential part of the global effort to meet climate goals and provide reliable electricity. Alongside other clean technologies, it offers a path to stability in time of transition. Innovation in small modular reactors, advanced design, and new technologies opens opportunities provided that our commitment to safety, security, and non-proliferation remains absolute. The agenda before us this week is broad and demanding. Our discussions will touch on peace and security, but also on health, environment, and sustainable development. Differences in perspective are inevitable. What matters is how we address them through dialogue, respect, and compromise. That is the spirit also that Vienna has come to symbolize, and it is the spirit that must guide us also throughout this session. As President, I will do my utmost to ensure that every delegation is heard, that our work is conducted fairly and transparently, and that this conference concludes with results that strengthen the agency and benefit us all. I am confident that if we engage with openness and mutual respect, we'll be able to deliver meaningful and balanced outcomes. Let us use this session not only to resolve the items on our agenda, but also to reaffirm something greater, that even in a divided world, cooperation is possible, that even in difficult times, trust can be built, and that even in the face of uncertainty, this agency can remain a source of peace, stability, and progress. In conclusion, I wish you all a successful outcome of this conference. Thank you very much. Distinguished delegates, I would now suggest that we continue. No. Apologize. Distinguished delegates, I would now suggest that we continue with the election of officers and the appointment of the General Committee. Under Rules 34 and 40 of the Rules of Procedure, the Conference has to elect for the duration of the present session 8 Vice Presidents, the Chair of the Committee of the Whole, and 5 additional members of the General Committee, resulting in a committee of 15 members with me as its chairperson. I have received from the area groups candidates for these positions. I should therefore like to submit for your consideration and approval the following proposal, which I have already received. As the 8 vice presidents, I should like to propose the delegates of the following member states. I will read the names in the English alphabetical order as I have been informed. Argentina, Côte d'Ivoire, France, Islamic Republic of Iran, Mongolia, New Zealand, Poland, United States. As chairperson of the Committee of the Whole, I propose Mr. Ricardo Machieto Airosa from the Permanent Mission of Brazil. For 5 additional members of the committee, I would like to propose the delegates of the following member states, and again, I shall read the names in English alphabetical order as I have been informed. Nepal, Russian Federation, South Africa, Spain, United Kingdom. May I take it that my proposals are acceptable to the conference? The distinguished delegate from Yemen has requested the floor. The floor is yours.
شكرا سيدي الرئيس. طلب وفد بلاد الكلمة لتوضيح موقف اليمن من عدم تأييد الترشيحات في مجموعة فعدم تأييد اليمن ترشح إيران كنائبا للرئيس عن مجموعة الميسا نابع من التدخلات الإيرانية في الشأن اليمني واستمرار دور إيران التخريبي المزعزع للأمن والاستقرار في اليمن والمنطقة وأمن البحر الأحمر، وذلك من خلال استمرار دعم ميليشيا الحوثي الإرهابية وتزويدها بالسلاح الذي ساهم في إطالة أمد الحرب في اليمن. فالنظام الإيراني يتحمل كامل المسؤولية في تعميق معاناة الشعب اليمني والانقلاب على مؤسساته الشرعية جراء دعمه المستمر لميليشيا الحوثي الإرهابية وتعطيل جهود إحلال السلام في اليمن نتيجة استمرار هذا الدعم. وقبل أن أختم أود أن أشير أن مجلس الأمن الدولي سيعقد اجتماع اليوم لمناقشة الأوضاع في اليمن وآخر المستجدات السياسية والعسكرية والإنسانية وسط تحذيرات من تصعيد إقليمي أجهض فرض السلام في اليمن. كما سيتم عقد جلسة مغلقة يقدم فيها المبعوث الأممي ووكيل الأمين العام للشؤون الإنسانية إحاطتين حول الوضع الراهن في اليمن، وسيتم مناقشة قضية احتجاز الحوثيين لدفعة جديدة من موظفي الأمم المتحدة ما لا يقل عن 21 موظف من برنامج الغذاء العالمي واليونيسف، إضافة إلى اقتحام مباني تابعة للأمم المتحدة في صنعاء والاستيلاء على محتوياتها، وذلك بالإضافة إلى الدفعة السابقة من الموظفين اللي تم اعتقالهم، في خطوة تزيد من تعقيد جهود المنظمات الدولية في تقديم المساعدات الإنسانية بدلا من خلق بيئة آمنة لوصول المساعدات دون عوائق. شكرا سيد الرئيس.
I thank the representative of Yemen for his statement. The reservation and comments have been duly noted by the conference and will be reflected in the summary records of the meeting. May I take it that my proposals are acceptable to the conference? With these 8 vice presidents, the chair of the Committee of the Whole and the 5 additional members of the General Committee have been elected. I would like to give the floor to the representative of Ukraine. The floor is yours.
Mr. President, distinguished delegates, on behalf of Ukraine, we extend our greetings to all member states and congratulate you, Mr. President, and the officers on the opening of the 69th regular session of the General Conference. Ukraine approached this agenda item in a constructive spirit and is committed to the smooth and business-like conduct of this session. At the same time, we cannot remain silent on the proposed appointment of the Russian Federation to the General Committee. Russia continues its armed aggression against Ukraine in manifest violation of international law, including the UN Charter, as well as relevant resolutions of the UN General Assembly that condemn this aggression and demand full respect for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Russia has also consistently failed to implement the decisions of this General Conference relating to nuclear safety, security, and safeguard in Ukraine. A member state that disregards the resolutions of the General Conference and the clear will on the international community has no moral right to serve on the committees or any other bodies of the General Conference until it begins to implement these decisions in full. Ukraine will not obstruct the adoption of the list of officers. However, we must clearly disassociate ourselves from the appointment of the Russian Federation as a member of General Committee in this session. Looking ahead, Ukraine remains ready to work with all delegations to ensure a successful conference and to advance the agency's mandate. Our position will be revived when Russia demonstrates concrete, verifiable, and sustained compliance with the decisions of the General Conference and the relevant resolutions of the UN General Assembly. We kindly request that this statement be duly reflected in the official records of the 69th regular session of the IAEA General Conference. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Ukraine for her statement. This position presented has been duly noted by the conference and will be reflected in the summary records of the meeting. Now I would like to give the floor to the representative of the United States. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. The United States is dismayed that the Middle East and South Asia Group has chosen to be represented by Iran at this General Conference. Under the current circumstances, Iran's holding the Mesa Vice Presidency seems especially inappropriate. As the IAEA Board of Governors decided in June, Iran is currently in non-compliance with its safeguards agreement and, moreover, has not allowed the IAEA to perform required safeguards activities for more than 2 months. Allowing Iran to serve as a General Conference Vice President is incompatible with member states' numerous calls for Iran to provide full access and cooperation to the IAEA. To the contrary, it would seem to reward Iran's active incompliance. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of the United States for his statement. Your position has been duly noted by the conference and will be reflected in the summary records of the meeting. My next speaker on the list is the representative of Iran, and the floor is yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would like to congratulate you on your assumption as the President of the conference. Well, I was not indeed intended to take the floor, but since there are issues raised here, first of all, I would like to thank the majority of the members of the IAEA in this conference trusted Iran to be as one of the vice presidents of the conference, and especially I would like to thank our group, MESA group, which entrusted Iran as a candidate for this post. Well, very short with regard to the statement made by Representative of Yemen, we categorically reject such baseless allegations. The people of Yemen decide for itself, and they have decided to resist the oppression and help the Palestinian people, and we admire them. With regard to the statement of the U.S., of course, all of us aware of the approach of the U.S. bullying and arrogant approach, trying to dictate to all countries around the world its position. But here we were deciding by a majority, and the majority decided, and one country cannot prevent that. Of course, the issue of the politically motivated resolution against Iran, everybody is aware of that. It was approved by a weak majority, and there was no legal basis for such a resolution. We elaborate on in our statement this issue, so I'm not going to go to the details. Just to say that everybody should respect. This is the well-established practice that the regional group decides for themselves, and it should be respected by all who are gathering here in the General Conference, and we hope that will not be repeated in future. Thank you very much.
I thank the representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran for his statement. Your position has been duly noted by the conference and will be reflected in the summary records of the meeting. The distinguished delegate from Israel has requested the floor. The floor is yours.
Mr. President, the practice in which vice presidents of the General Conference and members of the General Committee are elected from within regional groups has unfortunately not served the General Conference well at the present session and has yielded a regrettable outcome. The Middle East and South Asia Group, Israel's natural geographic group, which is unwilling to accept Israel to its ranks, has decided to nominate the Islamic Republic of Iran as Vice President of the General Conference. The same Iran which the Board of Governance recently found to be in non-compliance with its safeguards obligations. Iran has been actively working against the agency in every possible way. It had made false accusations against the agency and its leadership, and has even threatened the Director General. This proves that they are not eligible to serve as the Vice President of the General Conference. Mr. President, to quote the delegation of Iran during GC 66, just 3 years ago in this very room, and I quote, "It is unacceptable that one candidate to the General Committee seeks to use the position to pursue a narrow-minded, self-serving, political national agenda. Such an approach is certain to cause disagreement and division." End of quote. We are certain that by the end of this conference, Iran will prove that it planned all along to do exactly what it is supposedly warned of just a few years ago. Mr. President, Israel therefore disassociates itself from the decision to nominate Iran to the position of Vice President. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Israel for his statement. This position has been duly noted by the conference and will be reflected in the summary records of the meeting. The distinguished delegate from Yemen has requested the floor. The floor is yours.
شكرا سيدي الرئيس. لم أكن أنوي طلب الكلمة المرة الثانية، ولكن ردا على ما قاله مندوب إيران حول دعم الشعب الفلسطيني حول من قبل اليمن. فليس له الحق أن يتحدث نيابة عن الشعب اليمني ودعمه للشعب الفلسطيني، فالجميع يعلم أن القضية الفلسطينية بالنسبة للشعب اليمني قضية مركزية، وليس له الحق في أن يزايد في هذا الموضوع. شكرا سيدي الرئيس.
I thank the representative of Yemen for his statement. Your position has been duly noted by the conference and will be reflected in the summary records of the meeting. There are no other speakers on my list. Thus, the 8 vice presidents, the chair of the committee of the whole, and the 5 additional members of the general committee will hold office until the close of the conference current session. On your behalf and on my own behalf, I would like to offer them my really warmest congratulations. I look forward to working closely with them with a view to ensuring a successful conference this week. I shall be requesting the vice presidents to take the chair from time to time, and I hope that they will make themselves available when called upon to do so. I further declare the General Committee duly appointed. I propose holding the first meeting of the General Committee today in the afternoon at 2 p.m. It will take place in meeting room CR4, 7th floor C building of the VIC. Further, I would like to seek your concurrence that we deal with the items of the provisional agenda this morning as contained in document GC 69/1 in the following order, pending receipt of the General Committee's recommendation on our provisional agenda. Item 2, applications for membership of the agency. Item 3, message from the Secretary General of the United Nations, and item 4, statement by Director General. Then I propose that we take up item 6, contributions to the Technical Cooperation Fund for 2026, and item 7, general debate and annual report for 2024. Therefore, I propose to suspend Rule 42 of the Rules of Procedure of the General Conference. This is consistent with past practice. Failure to proceed in this way would considerably delay the start of the general debate, as you know, in which several ministers are scheduled to speak today. May I take it that the conference accepts my proposal to suspend Rule 42 and proceed with the consideration of the items as envisaged in the provisional agenda? It is so decided. Distinguished delegates, may I ask you now to turn to item 2 of our provisional agenda, applications for membership of the agency. Under this item, the General Conference has before it the application by the Republic of Maldives contained in document G69/14. The application has been recommended by the Board of Governors, which has also submitted for our adoption a draft resolution contained at the back of the document. May I take it that the conference wishes to adopt by acclamation the draft resolution contained in document GC69/14 relating to the application by the Republic of Maldives? It's so decided. I wish to take this opportunity to extend on behalf of the conference congratulations to the Republic of Maldives on being approved for membership of the agency. In doing so, I appeal to delegates to defer extending their congratulations until they make their general debate statements. The representative of the Republic of Maldives has requested the floor, and under Rule 30, with your permission, I shall give it to him. The floor is yours.
Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by congratulating you, Mr. President, on your election to preside over the 69th regular session of the IAEA General Conference. It is a profound honor for the Maldives to address this conference for the first time. We express our appreciation to the agency for approving our application for membership. We also thank all Member States for the confidence placed in us and acknowledge the leadership of the agency and the assistance of the Secretariat in guiding us through this process. The Maldives comes to this agency with a long-standing commitment to the non-proliferation regime. Our comprehensive safeguards agreement with the IAEA has been in place since 1977. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to the peaceful uses of radioactive materials for science and technology, and to strengthening global norms in safety, security, and safeguards. As a small island developing state, we are keenly aware of our unique vulnerabilities, including climate change, fragile ecosystems, water and food insecurity, and constrained health infrastructure. These challenges transcend national borders and can only be tackled through cooperative, science-driven solutions. Joining the IAEA is not only a national milestone for the Maldives, but also an affirmation that small states can make a meaningful contribution to global peace and security. Building on this commitment, the Maldives is determined to build partnerships within the agency to harness science as a force for resilience and sustainable development. Mr. President, we greatly value the agency's long-standing support for developing countries through technical cooperation. In 2022, the IAEA and WHO undertook a joint mission to the Maldives on cancer control and nuclear medicine, which became a pivotal moment in shaping our national health strategy and inspired our pursuit of IAEA membership. Guided by this foundation, we look forward to leveraging the Technical Cooperation Programme, especially the Rays of Hope flagship initiative, to establish safe and effective nuclear medicine capabilities that improve the well-being of our people. Our geographic location also brings responsibilities. Strengthening our capacity to for detection and monitoring remains a priority, and we look to the agency's expertise to help us build the safeguards required. Mr. President, the spirit of our engagement in this agency is clear. We seek not only to benefit from, but to contribute to global efforts in safety, security, and peaceful uses of technology. We look forward to working closely with all Member States and partners to ensure that nuclear science and technology continue to serve as instruments of peace, resilience, and shared prosperity. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Republic of Maldives for her statement. Once again, congratulations and best wishes to your country for your membership of the IAEA. We welcome you in the IAEA. I appeal once again to other delegates to refrain from taking the floor now on this item and to extend their congratulations in the course of their general debate statement. Distinguished delegates, let us now move to item 3. I have the great pleasure of inviting Mrs. Ghada Fatih-Wali, Director General of the United Nations Office at Vienna, to deliver a message to the General Conference from the Secretary General of the United Nations. I give the floor to Mrs. Wali and invite her to address the conference from the lectern. The floor is yours, Mrs. Wali.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be with you today and to read out the message of the Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, to this conference, which is as follows. I'm pleased to send warm greetings to participants at the General Conference of the International Atomic Energy Agency. You gather at a time of profound global turbulence. Geopolitical tensions are rising. The nuclear threat is growing, and the global community is riven with deep divisions. Yet, in the face of these challenges, the IAEA stands as a pillar of professionalism, impartiality, and scientific excellence. From advancing the peaceful use of nuclear technology across health, agriculture, energy, and even in the fight against plastic pollution, the agency's work is a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of multilateralism. I salute the dedication and courage of IAEA staff working in some of the world's most challenging environments. Your efforts are essential to global peace and security. But the burden of responsibility cannot rest on the IAEA alone. Member states must fully uphold their obligations under international law. Nowhere is this more urgent than in the area of nuclear safeguards. I welcome the recent agreement between the IAEA and the Islamic Republic of Iran on practical modalities to resume inspections and look forward to its swift implementation. Cooperation and diplomacy are the only pathways to enduring security and peace. The IAEA plays a vital role in ensuring nuclear science and technology is used only for peaceful purposes. Together, we can ensure that these tools advance development and safeguard humanity. And we must continue to strive to eliminate the specter of nuclear proliferation. The stakes are too high for anything less. I wish you a productive and successful conference. Thank you.
I thank Mrs. Ghada Fatih-Wali for her presence with us, and on behalf of the General Conference, I would ask her to convey to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres, our appreciation for this message. Distinguished delegates, we now come to the item 4, and I have great pleasure in inviting the Director General, Mr. Raffaele Mariano Grossi, to make his statement to the General Conference. Mr. Director General, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. President, dear friends, good morning. Welcome to the 69th General Conference of the IAEA. First of all, Peter, congratulations to you in assuming this important office at a time of difficulty, and thank you, Ambassador Ham, for having done so brilliantly over the past year. Thank you also, my dear colleagues, Ghada, for transmitting the message from the Secretary General, my dear friend Gerd, Rob, for taking time, coming downstairs, and sharing this important moment for all of us. As it was said and recalled by the message of the Secretary General, at difficult, troubled times. And we just heard some of the interventions here reflecting how deeply divided our world is at the present moment. But still, we have a common task to accomplish. And at times like this, of deep divide, of use of force, of increasing tensions, for us at international organizations, there are two choices: continue business as usual or meet the challenge. And let me explain, or try to explain, what we are trying to do here at the IAEA. And let me start at the sharp end of this. The logic of the work of checking nuclear material throughout the world lies on the fundamental premise that when the IAEA can do that, doubts, uncertainty, fears are not there. And when that ability is compromised or is limited, or we cannot do what we are supposed to do, then international peace and security are indeed at risk. And we have seen this throughout history, in particular, but not only in the Middle East, and dramatically last June in Iran, when its nuclear facilities were attacked. So, in front of this, we have been working to restore this confidence and to try to continue our work in spite of all these difficulties. And I think we all know what was achieved in Cairo, and thanks Egypt again for providing not only a venue, but a spirit, a support for what we had to do. And together with His Excellency Dr. Arakci, we signed an agreement indicating, summarizing the technical measures, the practical steps that we need to do to resume this indispensable work in Iran. Now it's up to us together, Iran and us, to implement it and to restore the confidence and to move forward. The same or similar things happened in Syria a few years ago. And this year, I had a historic meeting with President al-Shara, and we decided to work together, to turn definitely this page and to clarify what happened in the past so that Syria can move forward in its full integration to peace, stability, prosperity, and its connection with the international community. All of these are challenges that we are trying to meet in accomplishing the mission that has been entrusted to us. But this is not all. It has been mentioned, and rightly so, that apart from these situations, the nuclear non-proliferation regime writ large, this contract we've entered into by saying that we want all the benefits from atomic energy and technologies, but we will not seek the development of nuclear weapons. This regime, which, with its limitations, granted, has been one of the pillars of international peace and security in a world full of uncertainty, as it was said, and as we live every day. And this is at risk. And not only in places where attempts could have been made or are made to get nuclear weapons, but also in places and in countries that, so far, are in good standing with their nuclear non-proliferation obligations. And we see, for example, that in many places, there's an open debate about the possibility of having nuclear weapons. And some are asking themselves, well, why not? Maybe the world has changed or is changing in such a way that we might need nuclear weapons. We need, of course, to avoid this from happening. Imagine for a second, in the current circumstances and tensions that we are living, if we had a world where instead of the ones that have nuclear weapons now, we would have 20, 25 countries having nuclear weapons. This is something we need to avoid together. Yes, tensions have led to the return of armed conflict in Europe. And again, the IAEA had to meet the challenge. Almost exactly 3 years ago, 3 years and a few days ago, I personally led a group of courageous IAEA experts, and we crossed the front lines of a war under fire and established a presence, a permanent presence that has at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant that has completed more than 200 missions, and we are there permanently trying to help avoid a nuclear accident that would add itself to the misery of war that we are having there. And this is a contribution that must continue and that requires your support, in spite of the differences that we may have. And the same has applied to situations like the situation in Japan with the discharge, the controlled discharge of the water that had been used to cool the Fukushima nuclear reactors that led to political, commercial tensions in that part of the world. And thanks to the intervention of the IAEA and the joint work of all those together, we put in place a unique mechanism of transparency where the affected countries and countries around it that have concerns about what may be happening there are jointly working under the aegis of the IAEA. Dear friends, international peace and security are increasingly interconnected with other aspects where we also have an important work to do in the area, of course, of energy. Debates like energy security have appeared, and today there is a shared conviction from countries all over the world, using nuclear energy or not, that nuclear energy is part of the solution to the world challenges in terms of clean energy, in terms of global warming, however you may wish to define that. But until a few years ago, we were still finding ideological blockage to this. We were still finding limitations for countries to benefit from nuclear energy. And the IAEA has been working in 3 different ways to try to help those who are confirmed users of nuclear energy and also those who want it. One is, of course, as our statute itself says, promote the peaceful uses of nuclear energy. But this, of course, has to be declined into concrete things that you do to get countries to do that. Confirmed countries and vendors, exporters of nuclear technology, of course, do not need it. But out of our, today, 181, and welcome, Maldives, member states, I can assure you that the vast majority that need nuclear energy need support. And support means having the elements there to be able to host nuclear power plants, a workforce that is up to the task, and a regulatory scheme that will allow this activity to take place in a safe and secure way. And so this is the second one. We promote the technology, we put countries up to speed, so to speak, and we bring regulators to the table. This is very important. We have started a series of SMR, you know, the small modular reactors, which are these reactors that are smaller, modular, as the name says, and more economical than the big nuclear reactors that you know, which are a very interesting, very attractive possibility for many developing countries that are requesting that. So we are trying to do that. We have SMR schools that we have organized in Thailand for Southeast Asia, in Kenya, for Africa, in Argentina, for 12 countries in Latin America and in the Caribbean. And there are more to come. The regulators' work, of course, we have created platforms like the Nuclear Harmonization and Standardization Initiative, which try to bring together regulators, the private sector for the first time, all under the same roof, so we all understand what the other needs, and we can adjust our practices. We are, of course, and it is obvious that for the IAEA, safety will be always a priority. But regulation, as everything else, must adapt and be up to the challenge. And we are working together with them. And lastly, because the big question is always who pays? And what is the financing situation when it comes to nuclear energy in the world? And one of the big stumbling blocks that we had in the past was the inability of countries, and in particular developing countries, to have international institutions financing them. There were, believe it or not, prohibitions from developing banks to finance anything that had the word nuclear on it. How absurd. No scientific basis for this. Luckily, we are turning that page also, and in Paris a couple of months ago, President Ajay Banga and myself, the IAEA and the World Bank signed an agreement, and of course, once the tone has been set by the World Bank, other development banks now are coming to us, which is going to make it possible for many developing countries to also benefit from nuclear energy. So important that we have that. Our common planet is our common house. And the IAEA is also working, offering the technology, the nuclear science and application arm to do good, apart from the energy side, which I try to describe succinctly now. Starting, for example, with nuclear medicine, with radiotherapy, with oncology, where we still have countries. Just a couple of months ago, I was in a country where I delivered the first mammographer. Can you believe it? A country that does not have a simple mammographer. This is obscene. But it is happening. It is happening. This is why we established Rays of Hope. And Rays of Hope, since its creation, a bit more than 2 years ago, now it's active in many countries. And let me tell you, cancer hospitals are being built. Technology is being transferred. The situation is changing, and lives are being saved thanks to you, thanks to the support and the fact that you believe that Rays of Hope was not just a photo opportunity or a hollow declaration on a piece of paper. And the same happened when it comes to Atoms for Food, where hand in hand with FAO, we are providing the technology, the science to develop hardier crops that we need because the planet is warmer, because there's no water, and we need crops that can sustain that. We are providing the technology that allows countries in an environmentally friendlier way to stop pests by sterilizing insects. Zika, dengue, chikungunya, all these things are coming back, and we are trying to stop them through our efforts in this regard. The planet is being increasingly polluted, and plastic pollution is one of the worst manifestations of that. Through Nutec Plastics, we are trying to give countries a possibility not only to identify this pollution, but also through irradiation to turn plastic into useful material to work, construction material, for example. And I could go on citing these examples of how the IAEA is providing these technologies to countries in their efforts to overcome all these problems that we are having. Water. Water is obviously the resource par excellence that we all need. And tomorrow, the scientific forum that we are having is going to be devoted to atoms for water. Through isotopic hydrology, my friends, we are able to decide whether we can use water, why our aquifers are going down, what is happening with glaciers, what is happening with rivers, with the oceans, with ocean acidification. All of that also through this general conference that we are having. And of course, there is the future. And when it comes to the future, we need to look at the new technologies. What is the next page? Where are we heading? And this is why in December, please join us for the first international conference on AI and nuclear. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are everywhere. Our lives depends on our smartphones. Every single activity that we have, including in the real economy, depend on artificial intelligence, which is voracious in terms of the energy they demand. And this is why hardly a week passes without a high-tech company signing an agreement with a nuclear vendor to get this energy that they so badly need. But of course, this had to be done in a safe, in a secure, and with the appropriate regulation. And where is the place, which is the place where this can be discussed? Of course, here. And this is why we are going to have this discussion. Let me also mention fusion. Fusion, the old quip going that fusion is the energy of the future, that will always be the energy of the future. Not anymore. Not anymore. And I bet that we all here in this room are going to be alive to see the first pulses of electricity coming from a commercial fusion installation in just a few years. So this is why we are working hard on fusion, and in Chengdu, in China, in a few weeks we are going to have the second meeting of the World Fusion Energy Group. Finally, the instrument. The instrument is us, is the Secretariat, is you as member states. We are trying to do more with less, operating on zero growth budgets already for a long time, with a diverse workforce, which when I started only counted 28% of women. Today it's 51% of women in just 5 years. So there are some who talk about this, and there are others who do really things about this. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much for still believing, as the President was saying, that in spite of all these doubts, there are many, many things that still unite us. Thank you very much.
I would like to thank the Director General for his statement and very inspiring message. He not only dealt with specific agenda items for this session, but also provided us with interesting overview of the main issues and challenges ahead for the agency. Congratulations for achievements, and I believe the agency has many important roles and objectives, so I hope this General Conference will move our discussion forward, but also support the agency's role in areas which you identify. And I'm sure that your views will receive careful consideration by Member States. Thank you once again, Mr. Director General. Distinguished delegates, let us now take up item 6. With your permission, I should now like to say a few words about contributions to the Technical Cooperation Fund. The Board of Governors in June 2025 recommended a figure of 98 million as the target as the target for voluntary contributions to the Technical Cooperation Fund for the year 2026. Document GC 69/20 before you has attached to it a table showing the contributions each member state would need to make in order to meet its share of the target. The early pledging and payment of contributions to the Technical Cooperation Fund greatly helped the Secretariat in planning the agency's technical cooperation program, and I would therefore urge all the delegations that are in a position to do so and have not done so as yet to notify the Secretariat during the current session of the contributions that their governments will be making to the Technical Cooperation Fund for 2026. I am pleased to know that 35 Member States have already made their pledges to the Technical Cooperation Fund for 2026. At the end of our session, under a later agenda item, I will report on the contributions which have been pledged up to that time, and I hope that I will be in a position to report favorably on the percentage of the 2026 target figure already pledged. Pledges can be made during meetings at the table to my right, marked financial contributions. Between meetings, they can be made in room number M0E67 on the ground floor of this building, where delegates can also make inquiries concerning their regular budget contributions. Distinguished delegates, let us now turn to item 7, general debate and the annual report for 2024. Before giving the floor to the first speaker on my list, I would like to make a few comments and suggestions regarding the conduct of the general debate, which is expected to continue during the next few days. Member States were provided the option of submitting pre-recorded video statements to be delivered in the general debate. Member States are requested to limit their respective statements delivered in the general debate to 7 minutes. Longer statements may, however, be posted on the General Conference web page. I appeal to all of you to adhere to this time limit in view of the general streamlining of the conference. In this connection, I would also appeal for your cooperation in allowing me to start our meetings punctually and ask you to be available to deliver your statement when called upon to do so. Delays in starting our meetings will reduce the number of speakers we can accommodate in each session. Lastly, I appeal for your understanding and cooperation in the arrangement of the daily speakers list and the order of speakers. The list was open in June, however, adjustments may be required in order to meet contingencies. I am confident that the Secretariat will do its best to cope with conflicting demands. I take it that the conference is in agreement with the suggestions which I have made with regard to the handling of speakers list for the general debate. It is therefore so agreed, and thank you for your cooperation.